using our sense of the world to make sense of the world. To feel so good from the inside out. Always feeling so good from the inside out. Better than your morning would feel without. I'm your host, Herbie. Good morning. Welcome to another Truth Hurts Day, where we're feeling good. Because when you feel good, you think good, you do good on Pal Go On. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to another Truth Hurts Day. We talk about how to clear your mind. Thank you for that host, Herbie Lloyd. Hey. Welcome to another morning. Good morning. Welcome to another freaking great morning here on Pal Go On. What the heck are you doing? What is going on? Today we are discussing our Truth Hurts Day. Clearing your mind. Can you clear your mind? Is it possible to clear your mind? We say no, you can't clear your mind, but what you can do is orient it. You can align with it. You can order it. Kind of like you see those mythical beasts in anime or in history books. All those things, what are they always talking about? And all those stories that we relate to so much. Are they talking about some outside beasts? Or are they talking about our own beasts? Something about inside, huh? What stories resonate with us? You cannot clear your mind because it's so strong, but you can tame that thing. An inner world to save. Always feeling so good from the inside out. Why is that? Why is that? Because when you feel good, you think good. And when you think good, you do good. Again, if you would, please say it with me. When you feel good, you think good. And when you think good, you do good. One more time. Would you please say it with me? When you feel good, you think good. And when you think good, you do good. Thank you. As we are always remembering to feel so good from the inside out, objectively, how do you do that? Well, with the help of your own body. As your own body, is that not the most objective thing around your own body? How do you know that you exist in this world? Your own body is the most objective thing around there, right? Objectively feeling good in that body of yours by looking at our inside design and co-aligning with that inside design to feel so good all of the time by placing our weight into the front of the spine, not the back, right? And then allowing the weight to be delivered not into this singular tailbone, which might look tempting. In some ways, we think of balance a lot of the times as being responsible down one direction, right? Usually we think of balance as being going straight down. Usually. Though we constantly see examples of this not being the case in life. Throughout the world. Look at a tent. Look at a zipped tent for camping. Usually there's no pole going straight down the middle, yet it balances. Using multiple structures. Multiple structures to achieve one balance. Perhaps multiple structures to touch the surface in which it is being balanced on to achieve balance. One balance achieved by multiple points of contact. With whatever it might be that it is balancing on. We see this everywhere with tripods. Most things in the world. Quadpods, tripods, cars have 4 wheels to achieve one balance. Bikes have 2 wheels to achieve one balance. Similarly, our bodies have 2 sit bones the bottom of our pelvis to achieve one balance. The balance being transferred through the front of the spine. And although our weight being technically being delivered down to adjacent structures, which are these arches right here that exist in your pelvis bone that are distinct and different from your tailbone. They are not your tailbone, but rest further in front of your tailbone in this 3D structure. There's two sit bones to achieve that one balance that you might think is achieved by that one tailbone, but is not. And why is it important to establish these distinctions? Because the body is so strong that how it thinks it is perceiving itself, how it thinks that it is shaped, it will attempt to function and move its body in that way. So there's a lot of misconceptions because our brains are so smart, right? Just by looking at the structure, if we didn't look at those blue lines, you might, just by looking at the structure of your pelvis bone, you look at it in science class, you look at it in news journals, you look at it everywhere in life, right? Wherever you see them referencing a skeleton, whether that be non-fictional or fictional. You see the tailbone, and because our brains are so smart, we orient the idea of balance to the idea of like one thing. So you see that tailbone, and you would not be alone to think that there might be placing some balance into there. So why do we talk about these misconceptions? Well, because they're common misconceptions and we're plagued with them throughout life. You see them everywhere. Just, you see the skeleton. Anytime you see a skeleton, you are reinforcing this idea. If you thought that you placed weight into that tailbone, you are reinforcing that not only for the outside world, but also within the inside world. As your inside world is so strong that it's constantly acting on all of your beliefs. So if you believe that bodies are intended to place weight into this tailbone thing, your body's going to try to do it. And there are all these muscles there and these nerves that are not supposed to be placed weight on. So you're actually destroying communication between like your body and itself. It's gonna hurt, makes breathing harder. No wonder your back, it's weird. Like you would think like your back problems come from your back, like where exactly the back of your problems are. Like you would think that the pain comes exactly from where the pain is, but oftentimes it's coming from a misapplication of weight being applied somewhere else just because of a misconception. And you might say, I mean, I didn't have that misconception. I don't know though, but it's like most of society, you would not be far-fetched to view the spine and make certain assumptions based on the spine themselves. You would not be in the wrong to be in society and think that and make certain assumptions about the body. Keep your back straight. Put your back against the wall. Stand up tall, right? Even the word back, when we refer to a spine, we are reinforcing a misconception in thinking that we should place the weight of the body onto the back of the spine. But scientists and physiologists, physicists even, everybody work together to find out that we're placing the weight of the body, it should be onto the front of the spine. Without needing a doctorate degree, one can simply look at that the same way you would look at the trunk of a tree and know which part of the trunk of the tree would do the most supporting based on the structure of it, the size of it, the mass, how everything else hangs on it. Notice how these vertebrae hang on the back side of it. So our brains are so strong that our bodies will behave the way that they think they behave. So when it comes to clearing the mind, a lot of it comes down to being unsure. When it comes to, oh, I can't clear my mind, a lot of it comes down to being unsure about how the body is supposed to rest. Because how are you supposed to rest? If your body is so strong, always doing how it thinks it's supposed to be, your body is always faithfully acting out how it believes it is structured. So how are you going to rest? How are you going to meditate when as soon as you start relaxing, your body starts placing weight where it's not supposed to be being placed into? So you get discomfort instead of a relaxing breath. So whenever you start to actually get to clear your mind, or you do actually start to focus on something that feels some type of good, Your body's tendency is to relax. But if your body's idea of what it means to relax is all defunct, you're gonna get shocked out of that relaxation. You feel me? So the way we fix this is by establishing properly how the body is supposed to relax. What? We have to learn how to relax? Yes, we have to learn how to relax. We have to learn how to do everything. Right? When you come out the womb, babies are adjusting and learning throughout life. And so they learn how to adjust to people. They learn how to adjust to our rules. So once they begin learning how to adjust to human rules, you do have to learn how to relax again. Because they began to learn how to place, the spine has to be straight. So they're aligning to all of these public ideas of what like alignment looks like, right? What the school says the alignment should look like. What my parents say alignment should look like. But none of those relate to what alignment should feel like from the inside. Why? I mean, it's just hard to communicate. How do we communicate that idea? It's just been difficult, right? How do we communicate to other people how they're supposed to feel on the inside? After a while, you just get frustrated, you drop the topic. So it never really got talked about, but here we are. Doesn't it just, how does that resonate with you? Don't take my word for it. How does that resonate with you? Have there been times in your life in which you have noticed that your body is so strong that it can change the way that it behaves without you having to consciously watch it all the time? And if that's the case, then what then for your breathing that you don't watch all the time? Is it possible that it's been adjusting to some pain instead of adjusting to what feels good? Was it adjusting to avoid pain, or was it adjusting towards a good feeling? Because a good feel, the absence of pain can feel like a good feeling if you're just in pain all the time. You finally get some relief. You're like, oh, thank God, right? Was our lives, as they are defined by our breathing, right? Was our lives and our breathing defined by limitations and our ability to avoid pain, or was it defined by our ability to go after what we actually liked? And so that's what we're here about, clearing your mind today on Truth Hurts Day, right? Is our body defined by the actions it has been taking to avoid pain because it didn't know how to deal with it? Or have we actually been free to go towards choice? Have we been free to go towards choice our whole lives, or has our body just been trying to avoid pain that it didn't know how to deal with? Have we thus far been defined by the choices we make in our lives? Or have we been defined thus far by the actions we've taken to avoid pain that we did not know how to deal with, like this inner pain? We might be wondering, Herbie, how come I can't clear my mind? Why is it so difficult to clear my mind? Why is it so difficult to clear my mind? Because as soon as we start clearing our mind, our body has to rely on itself to feel okay, as it has to rely on itself to breathe properly. But if the idea of the self is not ordered properly, our brain is just way too smart in that it will stay in that mode even if you're unconscious. Even should your attention begin to slip into this phase of quote-unquote meditation, your body is so strong. Your brain and body are so smart that remember that it can adjust to pain and behave in a life. Behave in your world, in your life. Your body can. In a way that avoids the pain that starts to feel normal. It normalizes compartmentalizing that pain because it doesn't know how to deal with it, to a point where it just begins to feel regular. It begins to feel normal. Why is that significant? Or how do we even know that? Well, think about when you get an injury. Think about when you get a burn or a cut on your finger. Your whole body, after a while, you begin to affect the world, you begin to manipulate objects, you begin to open doors a certain way, and after a while it becomes second nature to do things in a way that avoids the pain. It avoids this recurring pain. Pain is such a strong deterrent, right? After a while though, if you can't do anything about this pain, you just kind of let it go and you kind of change your life around it, right? What then for your breathing? What then for your disorderly body? What then for us thinking that you place your weight of the body into this tailbone? Imagine every time you wanted to relax, you wanted to actually meditate, your body started delivering weight into the tailbone because it still believed this fiction, right? Because your brain is so smart that once it believes this fiction, it's like, okay, it's been working. I'm not going to change it, especially when I start to deeply think. So when you start to deeply think, of course your body's all discombobulated, and then it's going to have a hard time breathing, and you're going to get snapped out of it immediately. So how do we clear our mind? Well, first we order it. We order our bodies, as in we understand where to place the weight of the body, where to place our attention. We cannot actually clear our mind. Why is that? Because your mind is constantly being affected by your body, and your body is constantly being affected by itself, first of all. As in, there's constantly pressure and negative pressure from the top half of your body to the bottom half of your body to even breathe. As there's constant balance and as fluctuation between your diaphragm moving upwards and your diaphragm moving backwards. Or moving upwards and then moving downwards. To exhale and then to inhale. And push air out and then to push air in. Your body is in constant flux with itself. It's always feeling itself. Let alone the outside world, right? You have this pump of air that's pushing from the top half to the bottom half. So it's always feeling that pressure, and then let alone you have all these senses, and then you have all these things that you're thinking about, all these different layers of consciousness. So your body's always feeling something. So your brain is always thinking about something. You ever wonder, wow, my brain can never just turn off. They tell me to clear my mind, but it's so hard. You cannot clear your mind. There's too many things your body is going through. Your mind is always going through something, but you can orient it. You can orient it towards continuing to breathe properly, continuously focused properly instead of being chaotic. Because as soon as your body begins to try to place weight into the wrong places, your brain goes chaotic because your breathing goes chaotic. Your breathing is the most important thing to you. Before food, before water, before sleep, your breathing is the most important thing to you. As in before anything else, before you can even speak to express that you want food, your breath must exist. Your body knows this, so when you go into deep meditation, any kind of disorder in your body's ability to breathe will snap you right out of it. Because breath is life or death in that situation. A breath is life or death in all situations. You die every 5 minutes, but that timer is set with a breath that you take. Did you know that? This breath is so important, which means that ordering your body so that your breath is not interrupted as you are going into deep breathing, very important if we want to begin to get this idea of clearing your mind. You cannot clear your mind, but you can order it such that you have a clear feeling. Your mind is clear of any disorder. Your mind is clear to go where it wants to go, unmarred by any barriers, conflict, or pain. You cannot clear your mind, but you can order it. You can order your body so you can clear your mind. We'll be right back. Please pretend that there's a candle in front of the lips that you're trying to not put out and to leave your swallowing muscles alone. And to observe your sense of self as you do that. On another Truth Hurts day. We'll be right back. Using our sense of the world to make sense of the world. Remember to feel so good from the inside out, because when you feel good, you think good. And when you think good, you do good. Isn't that so true? Isn't that so true? Have you been able to pretend that there was a candle in front of the lips that you're trying to not put out? And to place into your awareness the idea of leaving your swallowing muscles alone? And simply to just observe your sense of self as that happens. Have you been able to do so? Again, that's pretending that there's a candle in front of the lips that you're trying to not put out. And to leave your swallowing muscles alone as you observe your sense of self. Your mind is always moving, right? They're always asking you, can you even clear your mind? But your body is always experiencing something. Can you turn off your smell? Imagine if someone said that to you. Can you turn off your hearing? In a similar way, our mind is like that. Why do we separate the idea of mind and body? When you feel a sensation in your body, is your mind not aware of that? Why do we separate this mind from our senses when all of our senses are grounded in this mind, this consciousness? This consciousness is our background. Is it possible to turn it off? No, but you can guide it. You can order it, right? As we know, all thoughts are lies. Why do we know that all thoughts are lies? All thoughts are lies. Have you ever heard that before? All thoughts are lies. How do we clear our mind? Well, all thoughts are lies, first of all. But clearing your mind is not about... Clearing your mind is not about being absent of thought. Although thoughts are lies. How is that possible? Because the body is something that we think more through. These thoughts that we put into language, right? These thoughts that are lies, that are preventing our brain from clearing. When we say clear our mind, our brain starts flooding with thoughts. Well, what do you mean by clear your mind? Is my mind clear yet? Does this mean it's clear? Is my mind clear now? Right? Isn't that where our brain goes? Clear your mind. Okay, am I doing it? Okay, my mind is clear. Is it clear? Well, if it's clear, how am I here? How am I talking about this? What? My mind's not clear because I'm talking about asking if my mind's clear. Is it possible to clear your mind of thoughts like that? Is that a way to clear your mind, by telling yourself to clear your mind? Isn't that granting ourselves as human beings a little bit too much power? Just a little bit too much power to think that we can do anything like that. Clear your mind. Okay, sir. Boom, I'm God. Bah, my mind is clear. Isn't that giving us a little bit too much credit to think that we can clear a mind? A mind. The power of a mind. We just discussed how strong the mind is. Its ability to work unconsciously and consciously simultaneously and trick itself. Thinking that it can establish new normals. Even in pain, right? There's Stockholm Syndrome. Have you ever heard of Stockholm Syndrome, where someone who's captured by somebody ends up falling in love with that person? They lose all their freedom but ends up falling in love with that person because there's nothing else. There's nothing to compare it to. Our brains are incredibly powerful instruments, incredibly powerful tools at ordering chaos and seeing and being able to adjust to different realities for different motivations. And if that motivation is to avoid the pain and suffering that it might involve in having to deal with an obviously unchangeable situation, like a pain in the leg that they can't get rid of, or the pain of a loss of a loved one, our brains and minds can eventually learn to live with new normals. And even in the bad sense, our brains can concoct new normals. If the pain is too great, it can find ways to normalize the pain so that it can continue to find joy in other places in life. And Stockholm syndrome, or people in toxic relationships, or us in our suffering, or us in our moments when we feel like we're stuck, aren't we able to adjust and feel as though we can allow the pain to slip into an unconscious part of our mind and still know the pain unconsciously, hence trauma, and then still operate as if everything's normal and everything's fine? Our brains are so incredibly strong, yet we think we can control it by saying we're gonna clear it? And the mind is just not gonna care. If the mind is this gigantically strong thing as we know it is, it's just not gonna care about being quelled? No. The mind is like, hey, I've only got so many hours on this earth. I'm gonna stay awake. That's what the mind says, right? How hard is it to clear the mind? Very hard. Clear the mind? What even are you talking about? Our thoughts are all lies because our mind is so strong. It is not just words. It is a body. It is a 3D experience, and your thoughts are 2D experiences. Your thoughts are 2D experiences. Linear, as in you can follow the path of logic using language. That's how thoughts are. But meaning, isn't that so much more of a 3D bodily experience? Meaning, when you finally establish meaning, when you see the meaning of a joke, does that make you do a full body experience of a laugh? See the meaning of life, does that have a full body experience of you crying or feeling exuberant? Meaning happens so quickly. Video games are built off of this. Movies are built off of this. Entertainment is built off of this. Love is built off of this. This idea that meaning is this 3D experience that happens way too quickly, exponentially faster than we can spit out words, than we can even understand words. Meaning happens in all directions. Imagine a paragraph, but going in all different, imagine a paragraph starting at the inside of your core. But one paragraph going in every infinite direction from that core, infinity directions like a sphere. And that's like meaning. And then you take one strand of that direction, and that's like a sentence, that's a thought. That's what makes it to your head. And then that's what you're gonna live your life on, that one thought, when your whole body is this 3D meaning. All thoughts are lies, because your body is a 3D experience, and thoughts are a 2D experience. And so when you're living in your life and you start hearing thoughts, you feel your body. Your body knows what it can do. Your body just does what it needs to do. You are the observer. Your body can do what it does. Your body do what it do. Right? When you're sleepy, can't it still go to the bathroom and do what it needs to do? Wash its hands sometimes? Aren't there states of your consciousness in which you are just waking up, or perhaps you are feeling more energized than usual, so you're able to do tasks in which you didn't even realize you finished that task because the time happened by so fast? Our bodies are able to be on this quote-unquote autopilot mode. We just have to let it do what it needs to do. What stops it from doing what it needs to do are these thoughts, as we try to align with one of these thoughtful directions. But our entire body is always informing us about our entire life, our entire world, our entire experience, our entire motivations even. Our body is already alerting us to those things in 3D. Even 2 or 3 different views, or even 2 or 3 different perspectives would be enough to Offer pause to any one of your thoughts that might arise into your body. Any thought, linear thought, any 2D thought that arises into your head that you now want to begin acting on. 2 or 3 more thoughts would be enough to counter that idea and to give you a new perspective, and your body itself is already offering you more than that. It's offering you a full 360 spherical view on every feeling. Which one would you trust? The perspective of infinity, 360 degrees perspective, or a one thought that you can begin to start putting into words, but by the time you finish speaking all those words to understand your thought, your body will already have lapped you, written pantheons about it. Which one would you trust? This 3D experience of yourself, or these 2D thoughts that are lies? These 2D thoughts that don't match your actual experience. So who are they actually giving advice to? These thoughts being 2D in your body, your life, your experience of life being 3D. How does this resonate with you? You cannot clear your mind because your mind, as we know it, are to be these thought things. And so if we're focusing on our thoughts, creating an area of us that has no thoughts, where you're using one of those thin strand 2D things to define what it should be like to live in a 3D world. A 3D world's like, what do you mean, clear your mind? What does that even mean? 3D world's like, I'm experiencing all senses at once right now. What are you even doing, thoughts? How does that feel to you? All thoughts are lies because lies are 2D and your body is 3D. How does that resonate with you? We'll be right back. Please pretend that there's a candle in front of the lips that you're trying to not put out, and to leave your swallowing muscles alone as you do so, and observe your sense of self. We'll be right back. Welcome back. I hope you had a fantastic break, guys. Remember to place a candle in front of the lips. In your awareness, please place a candle into your lips, in front of the lips that you're trying to not put out. And to leave your swallowing muscles alone as you observe your sense of self. And as another reminder, please remember that your weight of the body wants to be delivered into the weight-bearing portion of the spine, which is the front. Again, say it with me. The weight-bearing portion of the spine is the front. Say it with me. The weight-bearing portion of the spine is the front. All thoughts are lies. How do we clear our mind? One, we first establish where the mind begins and ends, right? What is the mind? You gotta discern what the mind is. Does the mind end and does the mind begin and end at our thoughts that we can articulate? So when we are drunk in a stupor or on some kind of drugs, or when we just wake up and we're babbling nonsense, our mind is simply incoherent at that time. Our mind is not functioning at that time. Our mind at that time is less than a mind. Should we have to be able to articulate our thoughts to have a mind? Or is our mind something larger, like something more inclusive, like the body, the 3D body? How can that be possible? No, mind is only a brain thing. Is that so? How good are you going to be at solving a life or death situation problem, like a math problem, if the stakes are so high and your body is feeling nervous, like there's a gun to your head or something like that, or maybe there's a pain in your leg that will not, or that will be promised to go away as soon as the situation is over? Is your mind not addressing the situation a little bit differently? So if your mind is directly affected by another part of your body, then is your body not the mind? Where do we define this mind thing? By a physical structure of the brain? Or rather, its interaction and its relationship with ourselves? What do we define as this mind thing? A physical structure? Or a concept that we have a relationship with? So now this mind thing, affected by the body, right? This body being a 3D thing. Your mind is this 3D thing, right? These thoughts are these 2D things that you can language out. Why would all thoughts be lies? Because your experience is this 3D experience, and these thoughts are these 2D experiences of things you're trying to language out. How do we prevent ourselves from getting lost in how do we prevent ourselves from getting lost in these thoughts that are lies? What should we focus on then if all thoughts are lies? What do you mean all thoughts are lies? How do I live life, Herbie, if all thoughts are lies? Well, if a thought is something that we become aware of in our mind, then what we can become aware of is a feeling, a 3D feeling, as that more matches our everyday experience, our everyday lived experience when we are not trying to focus on thoughts. Even right before we start diving into thoughts, the way and the timing that we decide to dive into thoughts, all defined by a 3D experience of our body first and foremost. Why do you decide to think about this thing and not that thing? At any point in time, your body defines this. Your body dictates this. Am I hungry? Am I sleepy? Those things come first. Can I breathe? Those things come first. Don't we always need to eat? And aren't we always sleepy? And don't we always need some water? And most of all, don't we always need to breathe? Those experiences are the experiences that our body cares about as they're happening second to 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 second. That's 3D experience of our body. Your body can already do all that it needs to do, baby. We've just been trying to make it do too much with these thoughts things. With these thoughts. Trying to make it do this and that. Trying to be like, oh, we want to be this. I want to do that. I have proven my worth this much. No one else will take care of them unless I take care of them. I I have put all my time into this, so I deserve this kind of reimbursement. All these thoughts, thinking that we had to do stuff to the outside world, right? Our body, our vessels, our attention, what our attention is on. We think that we'll be better persons, we'll be better people if we focus our attention on doing good things to the outside world, right? That's our thoughts, right? What else can we live by except that? There's no other way to live, right? Wrong! Live in a way that's much closer to your 3D experience every day. As in, what are you doing in this 3D experience at all those times when you're feeling if you're hungry, or if you're thirsty, or if you're sleepy, or if you're off balance, or if you're in balance, or if you feel like you can breathe or you cannot breathe, if you feel choked up or you feel less choked up. Your body defines those on how we said it earlier. We already gave the answer through feeling. All thoughts are lies, but feelings are these like 3D thoughts that are just like, exponentially better in like every way, fatter, faster, stronger. This body of yours, the only thing it is not is anywhere but here. The only thing your body is not that your thoughts can be is anywhere but here. And that might seem like a crappy thing. That might seem like a scary thing. It's like, I want to be in all those other places. But what do you know? Your body knows so much more. Your body's this 3D experience. What do you know about feeling good? As your thoughts are trying to create establishments, or it's trying to establish meaning between all these different things in a way that only your body can. Your thoughts are trying to be like, oh, well, I would be happy if I had this. I would be happy if I had that. I would blah, 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 blah. What do you know about happy? Your body knows about happy when it comes to breathing, food, when it comes to sleeping, when it comes to being off balance, when it comes to being in balance, when it comes to being not choking, or when it comes to feeling like you are choking. Your body knows those things. And those things contribute to whether or not you are happy or not. So if you are not breathing well, how happy are you? So how do we avoid these thoughts if all thoughts are lies? Well, we trick it, right? We kind of hack the system. Yes, it's true that your brain cannot stop moving, but what you can do is focus your brain on the thing that allows your brain to keep on moving properly. So it's true that we don't want to focus on these thoughts, but what we can do is focus on the feelings of the things that allows these thoughts to be good. As in, if it's possible for you to just observe the idea of one bone falling in front of the other bone as gravity affects it, right? Imagine that one vertebrae, or imagine that the weight of the spine is being delivered down the front of the spine as gravity is constant and your body is constantly trying to encourage it to go the other way. Imagine that every time you observe your body and that you are able to correct it and be like, no, place the weight of the body on the front of the spine. Imagine that it feels good. Imagine that every time that you focus on that feeling, you are reinforced with a good and proper breath to continue to feel another moment better than the last. But most importantly, as great as it can right here in the moment. All thoughts are lies, as in thoughts are these 2D ideas of like what you should be doing. They're languages. They're telling you what to do with language, right? Like, oh, logicking things out. Well, they said this to me, so therefore I should feel this way about it. Or they said that to me, so therefore I should act this way so that I can get this thing. Too much logic, too much word logic, rather. Your body's able to establish all of these ideas for you already, able to tell you what you prioritize, able to tell you more about yourself than you could even imagine, as it is already this 3D object that you are living inside out from. How do we reduce this idea of, how do we clear our mind? How do we clear our mind? Herbie, I can't stop thinking. What do you mean, turn your mind? I can't clear my mind. I can't turn my mind off. True. True. Because as you're thinking, your body is constantly breathing. But what you can do is focus the mind on, incidentally, the thing that will encourage better breathing. And your body can do what it needs to do. As you feel your body and as you let go of thoughts, what you find is you allow your body the energy to do what it's always been needing to do anyway. As your body's always trying to faithfully carry out all instructions that are going through your brain at once, what ends up causing us to be restricted from movement is not actually the lack of energy, but the lack of alignment, the lack of acceptance, the lack of submission. It is the lack of letting go of certain thoughts, as having multiple thoughts pull us in multiple different directions, which looks like stasis. It looks like staying still. Most often caused by multiple conflicting instructions, that when you reduce the conflicting instructions, the human body, like an arrow, goes and does what it wants to do, goes what it does. It knows that it needs to do from the inside out, without hesitation. Our bodies and minds are doers, always. How do we clear our mind? Impossible. You cannot clear your mind, but you can do the right thing, which clears your brain and clears your body of conflict, so that you can watch your body do what it needs to do. Live on autopilot. It feels so good. Feels so good. Never wonder why you can't clear your thoughts, because your thoughts would be focused on your life like a movie. But that can only happen when we let go of thoughts. We can begin to live life like a movie when we sit in our own body. It's hard to sit in our own body because we didn't know what was in there. But what we can do is constantly correct it. And that is an active thing that ends up feeling like clearing your mind, that ends up actually clearing your mind, because you are actively clearing your mind. You cannot clear your mind, you cannot do nothing, but you can focus the activity of your mind onto the action of clearing your mind. You know what I'm saying? You cannot clear your mind of all things. You cannot be doing nothing, because your body's always experiencing the world. You can't just turn off your senses. Your eyes just close, right? You cannot just turn off your senses. Your mouth just closes so that your tongue is not touching anything, or you get used to those flavors, right? But you cannot turn it off. Similarly, your mind cannot be turned off, because your mind is your body, as it's always experiencing all those things. So you cannot turn off your body, as it's always moving. Your mind is always moving. Your body and mind are always moving towards something, right? So you cannot clear it. You cannot tell it to do nothing. That's a fiction. But what you can do is choose the action to be the action of continuously clearing your mind, of continuously allowing yourself to choose balance over imbalance, as the imbalance is constantly happening from all directions, right? You can constantly choose to balance over time. You can constantly choose to balance over time, but you cannot be doing nothing. You cannot be doing nothing. Your body is constantly being imbalanced, so you cannot be doing nothing, as there's always things being done to you. Imbalances, conflicts. But what you can do is participate in the act of constant rebalancing. And that's really what they're talking about when they talk about clearing your mind. Clearing your mind of these extra thoughts in favor of this 3D body, this balancing of this 3D body. Because isn't it so hard to describe that 3D body? We'll be right back, okay? Kind of late on this break, but we'll be right back. Sorry about that. Let's go forward. Feel that body of yours. Feeling so good from the inside out. Better than your morning would feel without. Welcome back to Pago On. This is another Truth Hurts Days. It is Thursday, August 12th, 2021. Again, that's Thursday, August 12th, 2021. Truth Hurts Days. Clearing our mind, guys. We see everywhere in media that in like anime, in fiction, non-fiction, as in when we look back at hieroglyphics. I don't know, man. But throughout life, it's a common subconscious, it's a common unconscious theme that you'll see. Like Naruto. Of them sealing behind large forces, right? This idea that something is so insurmountable that you cannot destroy it, but rather can only seal it. Isn't there some truth to that? It does seem silly at a young age. You're like, what do you mean? How can you control it if you can't kill it? What are you talking about? We actually have something like that in our everyday experience. We actually do experience something like this, which might be the reason why these stories end up resonating with us and gather millions of dollars in support from people all around the world. Why do some ideas get that attention? Because they resonate with us, right? Well, don't we already have this experience of having something so powerful, dealing something with something so powerful that we are not allowed to kill it, or we cannot kill it, but we can control it. We can seal it. Is what a lot of stories will have you think, is that the best thing you can do is seal it. The best thing you can do is lock it away. The best thing you can do is lock it away. It's power. But I suggest that there's something better you could do. You can integrate with it. If you can somehow order it, or control it, align with it, integrate with it, use the goods of it, use the bads of it. Becoming friends with it, is that what it would look like? So as we're talking about these thoughts that we cannot control, don't we associate the idea of freedom, the idea of clearing your mind? When we talk about the idea of clearing your mind, don't we associate the idea of a clear mind with freedom, right? We associate the idea of a clear mind with freedom from thoughts that are bogging us down, right? Clear your mind, free your mind of all thoughts, right? They say. We associate thoughts, or being thoughtless, we associate clearing our mind with freedom. And freedom feels like air. Freedom feels like not claustrophobia, right? We associate freedom with being in the air, our hair blowing in the wind, or the wind blowing against our face, our jacket or shirt being blown back. Clear our mind, clear. Or do we imagine our mind being clear in like a dungeon, right? No, we imagine our mind being clear on a cliffside, right? With the air. We imagine a lot of air, right? We imagine air flowing through us. A clear mind feels like motion, actually, doesn't it? A clear mind does not actually feel like doing nothing, as these yoga gurus would have you believe. Maybe not all yoga gurus. Not all. But some people, right, would have you believe that clearing your mind is a still thing. You must be, and it's true, there is stillness, but they would have you think that clearing your mind is about staying in one spot. The idea of non-motion, the idea of like nothing moving, the idea of like this like there's nothing there, just clear your mind. But a clear mind, as we know it in our human experience, is more similar to a constant but steady motion, right? The same way a constant and steady motion in the body would create a stillness, like the yin yang, right? Our core revolving around itself. So I want you to think about your idea of a mind, and that our idea of what we want, of a clear mind, is not one absent of thought, but one that is regular and proper with its motion. The same way that riding a bike, you would clear it of all misconceptions of going different directions and rather orient towards one direction to experience this feeling of freedom that you would feel in your hair, in your jacket, in your hoodie, on your skin. As you're riding this bike, I want you to think of the idea of clearing your mind as more similarly to maintaining balance on a bike. It's a feeling. How hard is it to describe to somebody from the outside in? Yes, you now need to shift your weight of your left hip more to the left and simultaneously move your right foot more down to the right, and then angle your left heel to a little bit counterclockwise, and then your left toe should be a little bit angled upwards now. Imagine trying to use all those thoughts to explain to somebody, to explain to yourself even, how to continue to clear your mind. How are you going to clear your mind if your idea of maintaining the state of a clear mind, which is the state of being balanced on a bike, right? The state of a clear mind, you are thinking about the proper thing. Your mind cannot be blank, but you can think about the idea of remaining balanced. Your mind cannot be blank, but you can think about the idea of remaining to feel good. Your thoughts, as in your mind, as in what your mind is, your awareness can never be turned off. You can never just be aware of zero things like clearing your mind would think, like clearing your mind would suggest. You cannot be aware of zero things. You'd be dead and unconscious. But you can put into your awareness the thing that continues to allow your awareness to be good. You can put into your awareness the thing that allows your awareness to continue to be ordered and not chaotic. You can continue to place your awareness on the feeling of balance on this bike or in your own body, as it needs to feel balanced to think properly, right? Why? Because when you feel balanced, you feel good. And when you feel good, you think good. And when you think good, you do good. And are we trying to clear our thoughts? Clear our mind of any thinking? Does that start with the feeling? So if our thoughts are lies and our mind is our body, and we can't turn our awareness off, you just can't turn your body off. So how do we clear our mind? Well, by thinking about the feeling of balance that continues to clear the mind. You cannot be aware of nothing, but you can place your awareness on the thing. You cannot be aware of nothing, but you can put your awareness on the proper thing, which will help everything else, as we want to stay up and balanced on this bike, right? To get this air that we want to feel crossing not just our brow and our skin and our hair, but also into our lungs, filling up the back of our lungs, filling up the front of our lungs, filling up the left side of the lungs, the right side of the lungs, the inside of the lungs, both inside left and inside right. Really just filling out those lungs in a 3D experience. 3D, so much more real to our experience than any 2D thought could ever be. All thoughts are lies. Clear your mind is not thinking nothing. Clearing your mind is not about being in a state of no thoughts. Clearing your mind is not about being in a state of no 3D thoughts. No thoughts, 2D or 3D, right? As in feelings, 3D. As in thoughts and 3D are like feelings. There's no state for the human being to be completely clear of awareness, but you can place your awareness onto the thing, the body, right? Your awareness cannot be completely blank, but you can place your awareness on the proper channels of the body, which allow for proper breathing. And that is a constant act, a constant active act of rebalancing, which does actually achieve, it's kind of like a little hack because it does achieve both conditions. Not only is it allowing your brain to continue to move because we know we can't control it, right? We're just like, all right, you win, brain. You win, brain. You can't stop you. We get it. We get it. You're too strong. We get it. You're too strong. It fills the condition of like, okay, so this means that, yeah, the brain is still going on something. That's true because we just established that the brain can never not be doing nothing, right? Haha, we got you. It is focused on something. It meets that criteria, but it is focused on the thing that is allowing your brain to feel, that is allowing your brain and mind to feel better every day. Yes, you cannot clear your awareness because it's so strong, but you can place it. But you can continuously tell it to do the proper action. You get what I'm saying? You get what I'm saying? In one ear, not the other. You get what I'm saying? Put it in one ear, not the other. Remember, all thoughts are lies. And remember, if it makes sense to you, you know what I'm saying? That makes sense to you. If it makes sense to you, it makes sense to you. You cannot clear awareness. You cannot be aware of no thing, but you can tell your brain to. Your brain has this criteria, right? Your brain's got this criteria. Hold the phone before you guys go. Your brain has this criteria, right? Your brain has this criteria that it always has to be doing something. So why not? So if we cannot tell it to not do nothing, what we can do is tell it to do the right thing, and the right thing is continuously participating in the act of continuously rebalancing ourselves against imbalance, because that is the thing that's actually affecting you at all times. Imbalance, which is why you cannot be thinking nothing, because you'll always be affected by something. Gravity. Your pressure from the top side of your body, from the bottom side of your body. You're always feeling something. Whether it be from the outside world, gravity, or the pressure of the inside world, the gravity that your difference between the top half of your body above the diaphragm and the bottom half of your body below the diaphragm create. This pressure, this gravity. You're always being affected by something, so you cannot be thinking about nothing. But you can tell your brain to be thinking about the right thing and orient it towards the proper thing, the thing that supports the rest of the things. This active act of constant rebalancing against those imbalances. As that's the only thing you can account for. It's the only thing you know for sure. Are these conflicts? Are these imbalances? If there's one thing that's certain in life, it's uncertainty, right, guys? Using our sense of the world to make sense of the world, everybody. Feeling so good from the inside out. Better than your morning wood. Feel without. Why? To feel good, because when you feel good, you think good. And when you think good, you do good. Is that not so true? Is that not so true? Thank you guys for joining for another Truth Hurts Day, where we talk about how you can't actually clear your mind. All thoughts are lies, because those are 2Ds, and you live in that 3D body experience. Way better. Let's trust that. Let's stay balanced, baby. How do we do that? We please place a lit candle in front of the lips that you're trying to not put out. And feel that feeling over time as you leave your swallowing muscles alone. And observe your sense of self. Again, one more time, would you please pretend that there's a candle with me in front of the lips that you're trying to not put out? And to leave your swallowing muscles alone. And observe your sense of self as you are rebalancing yourself. over time, over imbalances. One more time. As you are rebalancing yourself over time by pretending that there's a candle in front of the lips that you're trying to not put out. To leave your swallowing muscles alone. See you tomorrow, guys. Have a good one.